I told her to breathe, which is the kind of advice people give when they have no idea what to do with a sobbing, bioluminescent octopus in a sundress. Lara's 3 largest eyes flickered like nightclub LEDs. The other 5 did that watery thing that makes you feel like a villain for existing. Her voice came through the translator as a trill, then a sniff, then a sentence that hit me in the soft places. I couldn't buy her a Starlight doll for her hatching day. She slipped and said birthday a beat later, like the word itself had teeth. I poured Zoblaxian Malo into 2 cups because my license says therapist, but my job title at EmotiHelp says emotional support human, and that's basically towel, tissues, and tannins. Take the glass, I said. Sip. We're going to talk about guilt, not drown in it. I cannot drown, she said, offended. My species evolved in solvent lakes. However, I may flounder sensually. The translator added a polite ding, as if to underline the word sensually. I chose not to look that up. We sat in the rented office I could barely afford, white noise machine, soft lamps, the faint buzz of a holo-ad billboard outside promising instant enlightenment for a small subscription fee. Lara's scent was citrus and static, like someone zested a lemon and plugged it into the wall. She clutched a coupon for the Starlight doll, expired, wrinkled, greasy with hope. It is sold out in 7 constellations, she said, the syllables trembling. My child will think I am a failure mother. She will molt ironically. Kids survive disappointment, I said. They even need it. Builds resilience. I tried on my comforting voice. It fit like a Halloween costume on Easter. Tell me about your daughter. She is half human, Lara said, and 4 eyes smiled while the others cried. She likes messy food and sarcasm. Her name is Key. She adores the Starlight doll advertisements. They promise companionship calibrated to her emotional biosignature. It sings about courage in the key of bedtime. A toy engineered to mirror your inner weather. Of course it was sold out. Of course parents were crying in 13 languages. I rubbed my temple and remembered all the last-minute birthday panics I'd seen working Earthside, scarcity as a business model, sentiment as a commodity. We'll get there, I said. But first, tell me what you're actually worried about. Not the doll. The thing under the doll. The under thing, she murmured, clutching her chest with a tentacle. I am not enough mother. I work 3 cycles. My co-parent migrated to the Psi Nebula with a performance poet. Our nest is loud with silence. I feed Key with credits and apologies. I collect a shrine of lattice. And on the day she expects joy, I bring her absence. I felt something old and human crack open in me. Congratulations, I said dryly, because sarcasm is my life raft. You're officially human now. She blinked at that 8 times, strobe-like, then made a sound halfway between a laugh and the noise a cat makes when its soul leaves its body for a second. Is this where you tell me to love myself? She asked. Because I tried. It felt like a retail experience. We're not buying self-love, I said. We're renting forgiveness by the hour. Small steps. You're grieving the fantasy of perfect motherhood. That fantasy owes you money. We're going to break its legs. Her crest flared a pleased purple. You are violent with metaphors. I approve. Let's unpack your feelings, I said, and instantly regretted it. She unclipped an actual suitcase labeled emotions from her belt and set it on my couch. The clasps hissed. Inside, luminous orbs hovered and hummed, each holding a memory. I could see my reflection in them, middle-aged, unshaven, hair doing a slow-motion panic, shirt that said world's okayest therapist under my blazer because laundry day had opinions. This is not HIPAA-compliant, I muttered, but I leaned in anyway. The first orb replayed a loop of Lara sneaking home late, tiptoeing past a sleeping Key, pausing to stroke the kid's cheek with a trembling tentacle. The second showed her arguing with the co-parent over scheduling, love boiled down to logistics. The third orb was a Starlight doll advertisement, soft pastel stars, a human child laughing, an alien child laughing, a narrator promising connection so effortless it didn't require you. Pause, I said, and the orbs froze. There's the underthing. You want your daughter to feel loved without you having to be there, because being there hurts. And yet you want to be there more than anything. Welcome to the chronic ache of caring. She took a careful sip. On Zoblax, we outsource emotional processing to the communal gel. It hums our feelings into art and releases dopamine coupons. Humans, you hoard your pain in meat and then turn it into music. We do our best, I said. Sometimes we make podcasts. I reached for a tissue box. She reached for it too, 3 tentacles, earnest, clumsy, and we collided knuckle to suckered appendage. The touch zinged up my arm like static flirting with electricity. She withdrew, flustered, and the translator chose violence. Apologies, I touched you intimately by accident with my feelings hand. I coughed into my cup. It's fine. It did not feel fine. It felt interesting. Is that an Earth symptom? Extremely. I redirected before my license spontaneously combusted. Homework. Tonight, you tell Key the truth in words small enough to be swallowed. Then you add something true and beautiful about what you love doing together that doesn't require a toy. Then, this is important, you schedule a cheap, silly substitute. A cupcake run. A scavenger hunt for star stickers. A shared song. You cannot buy your way out of shame, but you can play your way out. Play as contraband, she said, tasting the phrase. Human heresy. Also, I added, we're going to drink wine now and practice crying on purpose. She blinked again. Crying, deliberately. Humans do it all the time. We call it cinema. I cued a playlist called Consent to Feelings and dimmed the lights. No faces needed. The audio cues did the heavy lifting, rain on windows, soft piano, a narrator confessing a small, survivable regret. ZY Lara tried to imitate my breathing, which made her sound like a bike pump and made me laugh, which made her laugh, which made both of us cry more. It wasn't pretty. It was honest. Half an hour later, her crest calmed from anxious neon to contented dusk. Subbing in community is efficient, she said. Also, I wish to clarify, your species hugs are not dominance rituals. They can be, I said. Depends on the aunt. But with me, they're connection rituals. We ask. We consent. We hold. We release. May I, connection ritual you? The translator threw in a flirtatious harp I absolutely hadn't installed. I opened my arms. She folded gently around me like a weighted blanket with aspirations. Warmth, citrus, static. Not erotic, not yet, just 2 creatures agreeing to be heavy together for a minute. The kind of intimacy that terrifies armies. When we separated, we did it slowly, like we were returning fragile art to a shelf. Better? I asked. Not fixed, she said, thoughtful. But less alone while broken. Good. That's the whole trick. I refilled her cup. Now, about the Starlight doll. There's a human black market for these things, nostalgia smugglers with terrible ethics and great shipping. I'm not saying I know a guy. I'm saying a guy owes me therapy. If we absolutely have to, I can make a call. But only after you've done the talk, the small true thing, and the silly substitute. Deal. She tilted her head, the Zoblaxian gesture for solemn promise, and entwined one tentacle with my pinky before remembering herself and pulling back with an embarrassed trill. Deal. Also, minor logistical note, is wine therapy a mating ritual? I choked on my sip. Not automatically. But potentially. Her crest pulsed mischievously. The translator rendered the next line in a sultry mezzo, I enjoy potential. I enjoy professional boundaries, I said, voice steady, pulse not. We'll navigate with guardrails and traffic cones. I do not know these devices, she said. But I will respect your cones. Thank you, I managed. Text me after you talk to Key. Tell me how the cupcake run goes. I will not send an image of the cupcakes in a flirty manner, she declared, with the determined earnestness of someone who had absolutely sent cupcake thirst traps before. I will be appropriate. Appropriate is sexy, I said without thinking, and then wanted to crawl into the tissue box. She laughed, a richer sound this time, less static, more bell. At the door, she paused. Miles. Yeah. You told me to be small and true. Small truth, even if we never get the doll, I think Key will remember this day because I tried with my whole silly heart. My species does not have a word for silly heart. I think I am growing one. That's the human organ we never donate, I said. We keep it messy and beating and make art with it. She leaned in, not touching, just letting the citrostatic warmth brush the air between us. Congratulations, she said softly, and my own words came back to slap me with affection. You are officially a little Zoblaxian now. After she left, the office felt bigger and meaner. I washed the cups, stared at my reflection in the window, and called the guy I wasn't going to call. Voicemail. Figures. I set the phone down. One small, true thing at a time. If the galaxy wanted to sell solutions in a box, let it. I was going to keep doing the dangerous thing, handing out unmarketable connection. When my phone buzzed, it was a text from ZY Lara. We talked. We cried. We cupcaked. She stuck a star sticker on my crest and said, "Next year, we'll make our own doll." Also, small emergency, she wants to invite you to the scavenger hunt. She says you look like someone who knows where the good hiding places are. I typed and erased 3 answers, then settled on the only honest one. I do. I'll bring extra stars. I woke up to a vibrating desk and 37 unread messages. ZY Lara had discovered wine delivery apps. The first text said, "Emotional turbulence continues. Please advise." The next said, "I have uncorked." By the 5th, she was sending photos of cupcakes arranged like a planetary system and a single line, "Do you believe in cross-species chemistry?" I called her. We're supposed to process feelings, not ferment them. Her voice came through slurred and melodic. You told me to play my way out of shame. I am improvising a duet. I told myself I'd keep it professional. 10 minutes later I was outside her apartment, because professionalism pays less than curiosity. She opened the door wearing what I think was a robe or possibly a sentient blanket. "Come in, therapist. We are in the emotional soup course." Her living room looked like a Pinterest board mated with a nebula, candles floating midair, glitter dust that smelled faintly of ozone, a karaoke screen projecting her face with lyrics that read "Let it hurt, let it heal, let it hum." "You started karaoke therapy without me?" I asked. "I invited the wine first. You arrived second." She handed me a glass big enough to drown a hamster. "Rule 1, no sad metaphors tonight. Rule 2, you teach me human flirting." "That's not therapy," I said. "It is exposure therapy. You expose, I learn." I sat down because running would have looked inconfident. She curled up beside me, warm, glowing, smelling like citrus and bad decisions. "Explain this phrase," she said. "You up?" Is it a mating call or an existential query? "Both," I said. "Depends on punctuation." We laughed, and the sound hit some raw nerve I'd been ignoring since Earth. She asked about my ex. I told her she was human, ambitious, allergic to intimacy and cats. ZY Lara listened like she was memorizing the ache for research. "Humans confuse sex and therapy," she said finally. "Sometimes therapy is the only place we're allowed to tell the truth," I said. She considered that. "On Zoblax, we merge minds before mating. It is difficult to lie when someone can taste your disappointment." "Sounds messy." "Messy is the point," she said, and leaned in. Every ethical alarm in my skull bled. I tried to redirect. "We should schedule your next session." "Scheduling is foreplay to my people." "Of course it is." She laughed, and one of her tentacles brushed my wrist. The translator hiccuped, "Unintentional intimate contact, apologies, possibly deliberate." "I should go," I said. "You should stay until the room stops spinning. Gravity is emotional here." I stayed. Because gravity always wins. We drank more. She told me stories about her planet's mating rituals, poems sung underwater, gifts of phosphorescent shells that glowed brighter with sincerity. I told her about dating apps, ghosting, and the way humans treat vulnerability like a limited resource. She asked what Netflix and chill meant. I said it was a euphemism for comfort with bad choices. She nodded solemnly. Then let us chill without Netflix. The kiss happened like a typo, accidental but somehow inevitable. Her skin shimmered under my hands, temperature sliding between warm and electric. The translator gave up halfway through and muttered, "Content redacted for cultural sensitivity." We laughed into each other's mouths. It wasn't cinematic. It was absurd, two lonely species trying to translate longing through biology that didn't quite match. Tentacles got tangled in my shirt. I misinterpreted a pheromone signal and nearly sneezed on her crest. She made a delighted noise. "You are enthusiastic." "You're luminescent," I said, breathless. Afterward, we sat tangled in silence, sipping water that tasted faintly of stars. She traced patterns on my chest with the tip of a limb. "Tell me what humans do after this." "Regret," I said. "Then breakfast." "I prefer breakfast." I laughed. "You don't even eat solid food." "I enjoy the symbolism," she said. We drifted into lazy talk, about her daughter, about Earth movies, about the weird comfort of imperfection. I told her she was the first person in years who'd actually listened when I wasn't performing sanity for a paycheck. She told me I was the first human who'd treated her sadness like a language instead of a symptom. It sounded romantic until her holo bracelet blinked red. "Oh no," she whispered. "We are live." "Live where?" "FeelNet." The air filled with pings, hearts, and translation captions. My brain translated one: "Alien mom finds love with emotional support human, watch their spiritual coupling." I scrambled for the remote, tripped over a cushion, hit pause, unpaused, hit record. Every panic response at once. Lara clapped both hands over her mouth. I activated the share your growth feature when I opened the Melo. So the galaxy just watched. "Educational content," she said quickly. "Highly educational." I stared at the thousands of floating comments. #cry and thrive, #human healing ritual, #interspecies goals. "This will ruin my license," I said. "This will boost your following," she corrected. "You are trending." "Trending is not therapy." "Everything is therapy now." She touched my cheek again, soft, reassuring, almost parental. "Relax, Miles." They saw compassion. A little clumsy affection. Maybe one tentacle too many. But mostly compassion. I sat back, head pounding, heart trying to choose between panic and laughter. "Do you realize what's going to happen when your followers start trying to replicate this?" "Intergalactic enlightenment," she said with perfect seriousness. "Or lawsuits. Either way, attention." The absurdity broke me. I started laughing, full-butted, ugly. She joined in, the room flickering with her bioluminescent giggles. The translator chimed like a drunk bell choir. When we caught our breath, she poured us each another half-glass. "To professional boundaries," I said. "To productive violations," she replied. We toasted, and somewhere a notification pinged louder than both of us. "FeelNet servers overloaded due to emotional content." "Congratulations," she said. "You have gone viral." "I think I just committed career suicide on 6 planets." "Then we are reborn as influencers," she purred. "Dr. Miles Hart, emotional support human, and Lara, mother of feels." I wanted to argue, but the laughter wouldn't stop. The absurdity had its own gravity. I realized I wasn't terrified anymore. Maybe that was the wine. Maybe it was the relief of being seen, even if by the entire galaxy. "Fine," I said. "Tomorrow we write a disclaimer." "And tonight?" she asked, eyes glowing softly. "Tonight," I said, "we practice not overthinking." She raised her glass. "A human specialty." We drank to that, two specks of chaos orbiting each other in a universe that suddenly felt almost merciful. By morning my inbox looked like a cult recruitment poster. Teach me to cry like a human. Do you sell tissues signed by your mouth? My wife wants a session. I hadn't even finished my first coffee when a multi-help's CEO, an AI named SincerityBot 3000, called. It began with "Congratulations, Dr. Hart. You and ZY Lara are the hottest therapeutic couple in 3 galaxies," and ended with "We're rebranding your incident as a pilot program." ZY Lara arrived 20 minutes later wearing sunglasses and shame. "We are famous," she said flatly. "My daughter asked if we charge extra for hugs." I groaned. "We need a plan." "The plan is monetization," said SincerityBot through the holodisplay. "We're launching Cry With Me, featuring live human guidance on authentic sadness. You two are the faces of the campaign. Well, voice and tentacles, given the faceless brand aesthetic." ZY Lara whispered, "We can use this for good. Show people that feelings aren't weakness. Feelings are currency," the AI corrected. "Now make content." They handed us contracts thick enough to stop bullets. My conscience didn't even put up a fight, it was already drunk from last night. Within a week, the FeelNet revolution was a thing. Aliens everywhere were live-streaming cry parties. Tentacled dads sobbed on camera about work-life balance. Starship captains confessed to their ships before warp jumps. ZY Lara hosted nightly streams where she'd read viewer confessions while I poured wine and murmured things like "You're valid" and breathed through the shame. It was therapy turned theater, and the galaxy couldn't get enough. I should have been horrified. Instead, I was making more money than my old clinic ever dreamed of. My guilt was gilded. The merch followed: cry wine, emotional support blankets, limited edition tissue packs with inspirational quotes like "Leak proudly." There was even a toy line, mini Starlight dolls programmed to mimic human subbing. I saw one on a billboard. The doll cried while reciting my voice. "It's okay to fall apart responsibly." I called SincerityBot. "This is unethical," I said. "Unethical content has 40% higher engagement," it replied cheerfully. ZY Lara, meanwhile, had become a symbol. Every interview ended with her saying, "Humans taught me that crying is the ultimate rebellion." Her following quadrupled overnight. Influencers across the sector copied her look: bioluminescent makeup, emotional sincerity filters, hashtags like #MessyIsSexy. I couldn't walk through a spaceport without being asked to autograph someone's tear. One night we were recording our weekly live broadcast, a Q&A called Ask Your Feelings, when an audience member, an insectoid diplomat, buzzed, "Dr. Hart, is it true that human tears contain chemical weapons?" "Just hormones and regrets," I said. "Ah," it said solemnly. "Weapons of mass compassion." The chat exploded. Memes spawned instantly. Weapons of mass compassion trended for 10 solar days. Politicians quoted it. An anti-war protest on Rigel 7 used our image on banners: "Cry harder, love louder." I looked at ZY Lara, haloed by hololights, her crest glowing faintly blue. "We've broken reality," I whispered. "We fixed it a little," she said. "Now it leaks more honestly." After the stream she pulled me aside. "You've been distant," she said. "Do you regret us?" I hesitated. "I regret that we've turned vulnerability into merchandise." She traced a finger along my jaw. "But isn't that what humans always do? You sell love in songs, pain in poems, hope in bottles. I'm simply learning from the masters." "Yeah," I muttered, "but we usually hate ourselves for it." She smiled, soft and sad. "Then you're teaching me authenticity perfectly." Our next broadcast was supposed to be a scripted healing session, but the galaxy doesn't follow scripts. A viewer called in crying, really crying. Not influencer tears, the kind that come from something cracked open. She said her mate had left after binge-watching our sessions, claiming he needed to find his inner human. The chat went silent. I ditched the cue cards. "Okay," I said. "Here's the truth. None of this fixes you. Not wine, not therapy, not crying on camera. You heal a little, then break again. That's the loop. You just learn to carry it with style. Lara watched me, eyes glistening. That was unscripted, she said softly. Yeah, I said. Real, messy, unsellable. The feed exploded with hearts. Irony died quietly in the corner. The next day Sinceritybot congratulated us again. Ratings record. Authenticity always performs. I wanted to throw my coffee at it. Instead, I said, cancel tomorrow's show. Lara met me in my office later. Are you quitting? I'm recalibrating, I said. We're supposed to be helping people feel, not farming tears for clicks. You can't stop a movement, she said. You started a religion. I laughed bitterly. The Church of Catharsis. Weekly confessions with bonus content. She leaned closer. If we stop, they'll just replace us with cheaper humans. Maybe we keep going, but we use the platform differently. How? We tell the truth. No filters, no slogans. Show them what healing actually looks like. The ugly parts. That's suicide, I said. It's honesty, she corrected. And if the galaxy cancels us, at least we go out honestly subbing. I stared at her, this impossible woman with neon skin and better ethics than my species. You really think truth trends? No, she said. But it lingers. We went live one last time that night. No sponsorships, no ads. Just her and me. I opened a bottle of wine and said, tonight's therapy is simple. We're going to disappoint you. We talked about love that doesn't last, parents who screw up, children who forgive anyway. We talked about guilt, loneliness, the urge to monetize our misery. We cried. Not attractively. Not cinematically. Just humanly. When the broadcast ended, the comments were a mess of confusion and gratitude. One read, for the first time, I think I actually felt something. Lara turned to me. Success. Maybe the first honest one, I said. Later, in the quiet after the cameras powered down, she rested her head on my shoulder. Do you know what I miss most about being unknown? She murmured. What? The silence before someone sells it. I kissed her temple, or the spot that functioned like one. We'll find it again. Somewhere without Wi-Fi. She laughed softly. On Zoblax, we call that heaven. 3 months after we torched our careers, the galaxy had turned feelings into a spectator sport. Alien talk shows debated the humanity virus, arguing whether empathy was a contagion or a cure. You couldn't order lunch without seeing our faces on the holo menu beside Crycombo meals. I'd gone from therapist to emotional arms dealer, and Lara, well, she was now mother of feels, spiritual leader of the interstellar self-help movement. We hid in a borrowed shuttle orbiting some nameless moon, away from sponsors and paparazzi. I was drinking instant coffee that tasted like regret. She was painting her crest with bioluminescent streaks. We made a mess, I said. A beautiful mess, she replied. Everyone's feeling. That's evolution. It's addiction, I said. They are binging emotions like entertainment. Cryathons. Guilt marathons. I saw a reality show called Therapy Island. Humans made a species feel, she countered. Isn't that victory? Victory looks a lot like burnout. She tilted her head, studying me with all 8 eyes. You're ashamed of saving people. I'm ashamed of selling it. She moved closer, her voice softer. You always think guilt is proof of goodness. Maybe it's just ego. That landed. You sound like a therapist, I said. You rubbed off on me, she teased, and one tentacle traced my jaw, sending a spark down my spine. Metaphorically. For now. I caught her hand before it did more damage. You know this is chaos, right? You and me. This whole empire of feelings. It can't last. Neither can wine, she said. We still pour it. The holo screen flickered. A broadcast blared, Galactic Council emergency session. The caption read Earth declared emotionally hazardous zone. A Zoblaxian senator thundered, human influence destabilizes our productivity. Armies refuse to fight because they are too busy processing trauma. Another alien shouted, their tears erode discipline. Then a vote, unanimous. No one would invade Earth ever again. Official reason, unmanageable emotional risk. Zy looked at me, stunned. You did it. Humans won without firing a shot. Great, I said. We weaponize crying. She smiled. Poetic justice. You taught the galaxy the one thing it feared, feelings it couldn't control. That night we celebrated with cheap wine and worse decisions. Laughter turned to confessions, confessions turned to heat. She leaned over me, glowing like bioluminescent sin. You realize, she murmured, our intimacy might be a historical event. I've always wanted to make history, I said. I just didn't expect it to moan. She laughed so hard her translator sputtered. Between kisses she whispered, humans chase love like it's oxygen. It is, I said. The toxic kind. When it was over, we lay tangled in silence. Outside, stars pulsed like gossip. She brushed my hair back. What happens now? Now, I said, we retire before someone turns this into a movie. Too late, she said, checking her holofeed. Emotional support human, the documentary, coming soon. I groaned. We're legends, aren't we? Legends with merchandising rights. A week later, we attended a peace summit on Zoblax. They wanted the ambassadors of emotion to speak. The hall was massive, full of leaders who once banned hugs for being inefficient. Cameras rolled as I stepped up to the podium. I cleared my throat. Once, humans were considered dangerous because of our weapons, I began. Turns out we're worse when unarmed. We break planets by caring too loudly. You can ban our armies, but you can't survive our empathy. It's contagious. The crowd murmured, some wept, others clapped like they didn't know why. Zy joined me, radiant, hands sliding into mine. And remember, she said, love is not logical, but it scales beautifully. Reporters swarmed us after. One shouted, Dr. Hart, are you and the mother of Fields officially a couple? Zy grinned. Officially complicated. We left the summit hand in hand, exhausted, absurdly alive. Outside, vendors were already selling commemorative tissue boxes with our faces on them. I bought one. She raised an eyebrow. For irony, I said. For history, she corrected. That night, we sat under an alien sky that hummed faintly with our unintended revolution. I poured the last of the wine. Do you think this will fade? Feelings always do, she said. That's what makes them precious. Maybe the universe needed reminding, I said. Maybe it forgot how to ache. She touched her crest to my forehead, a Zoblaxian kiss. And you reminded it. You hopeless, beautiful, self-destructive human. I laughed. Don't tell anyone. It'll ruin my reputation. She smiled. Too late. You're a myth now. We toasted to that, to imperfection, to connection, to the chaos of caring. The stars shimmered like confetti. Somewhere, a child hugged a Starlight doll that whispered in my voice, it's okay to feel too much. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.